2025 is the year I will be leaving Canada. I've been debating this for the last few years, but I think this year I have to go just because of all the things that are happening in the country and in my own personal life. So here are my reasons for wanting to leave. You may or may not agree with it, but that is what I've chosen to do. This is the scene I get to see every day when I go and exercise. This is the scene going to the gym, and this is the scene coming back from the gym. I'm not gonna lie, I think in Canada, the cost of living has gone way too high, as in most countries, no doubt. But here in Canada, we especially like to take it to the max, I guess, right? Food prices double digits from before the pandemic. Gas prices we'll never see under $1, despite Canada being one of the most oil-rich countries in the world, right? We have taxes upon taxes upon taxes that we get to pay for the privilege of living in Canada, which is fine for some countries, Nordic countries anyways, that have high taxes. At least their government puts those tax money back to the people for services. Here, as the day goes on, I think we lose a lot of services, and our taxes are going into a deep, dark black hole where we'll never see again. Just for an example, I point out here. So everybody has federal income taxes, right? So we have that. We got our provincial taxes, which get to pay that. We got our just buying stuff tax, right? The GST, HST taxes, right? Any goods or services we buy, we pay taxes on that. We also have our if you're one of the people that does work, you get to pay the pension tax, which if you do the numbers, you'll put more into it than you'll ever get out of it before you die. There's the capital gains tax for the folks who are actually savvy enough to try to outpace inflation and get something for yourself and make a better life. You get to pay a 50% capital gains tax, and now they're proposing to raise that up to 66% for the people that are actually good at investing and getting capital gains back, right? Because they want you to just pay your fair share, I guess, right? There's also the net income investment income tax that you get to pay. So let's say you're living off of investment income because you did your thing, everything right, and you invested, took the right amount of risk. If you're getting income from investments higher than 100,000, they'll want a little bit of that for taxes on top of that. What else is there? Oh, there's the carbon tax that we get to pay. So it's a tax on top of everything that we pay that's already been taxed. So we get to pay another tax on top of that, just to save the environment. Even though Canada is one of the most cleanest and lowest polluting carbon output countries in the world, I think our carbon output is like maybe 1% of the global carbon footprint. But we get to pay that. We've been paying that for the last 10 years. I don't know where the money's gone, but it's being paid. Just a lot of tax that we're paying that we don't actually see returned to us in terms of any kind of increase in our living standard or anything like that. All right, so here in Canada, especially in Ontario, I can't speak for the other provinces, but the crime in the area and the province I live in, it's gone double digits. Actually, probably triple digits, actually, depending on what crime you're talking about. So I know the media likes to downplay it a lot and just say, oh, it's not that big of a deal, or it's isolated, or what have you. But it really isn't, right? You see it, the times you do see it on the news, it brings it up to to your awareness. But there's crime happening everywhere. It's been my parents have lived at their place for the last 15 years, and it's only been this year where somebody's tried to jack their car from the driveway in the middle of the night. But these geniuses didn't realize that Honda cars, you need the actual original key that has a chip in it near the ignition for it to start, right? So they abandoned their attempt to steal my parents' car, an old CRV, really old CRV, because they couldn't get it started, right? But that has never happened. They lived in the same area, in the same neighborhood for 15 years until this year, right? Again, that's anecdotal evidence, but if you see some of the stuff that's trending in the news, like carjackings, has been going nuts. You can blame obviously the criminals. They are the ones that are at fault, but there's been I think, in my opinion, a significant change in the mentality of the criminals. I feel they're emboldened by what's going on in the current environment to just do what they need to do. Some can justify saying, oh well, I'm poor too, I'm more poor than you, so I'll just take your stuff and because I'm poor, whatever, right? Or some could just I think the actual mentality of most of these criminals is that the consequences of me jacking your car, stealing your stuff, the consequences are very minimal. So the risk to reward ratio for these folks, if they can think of that concept, is that better to try it and get that payoff than actually have the slim chance of getting caught. Because I think the real problem is that when criminals do get caught in our current environment in Ontario and in Canada, they are actually released right back onto the street pending their actual court date and stuff like that. Why our justice system is doing some craziness like this, I don't know, but it results in the things that that I'll show you in a sec, that shows these criminals who are already been caught doing whatever they're doing and are back on the streets and doing it again, right? And get caught again, and then they'll be released again. So what has changed in the world where crime and justice lets the criminal that has already committed a crime go back on the street? Like what kind of mental illness is happening in the world where criminals are being let go? And I see some arguments online where they say, well, even though there's an increase in crime in Canada, it's not as bad as in the US, right? And they'll pull out some stat about gun death or what have you. Seriously, are you comparing the fact that someplace else is worse makes our situation better? One place is worse than the other. So, but the thing is, the common thread is they're both getting worse. And why is it getting worse? Is there a path that is the trajectory going back to so it's more normal, or is it going towards the trajectory of the worser place? Which I think that's what's happening here, right? So right now, in Canada, if folks don't know, for people that my friends that are not from Canada, we have guns. We're allowed to have guns here as property to use it as sports, sport shooting and at the gun ranges of that. But we are not allowed to use it for defense of our property or our lives actually at all. So, but here's the thing: criminals don't care about what the rules are, right? They manage to get the guns somehow, and they're using it during, as part of their crimes. And you, as the victim, get to either die, if you get in their way, or just basically hand over, your stuff, and hopefully they don't hurt you, in the process, right? Like, it's gotten to the point where
to prevent the possibility of being attacked in your home, leave your fobs at your front door.
Again, what kind of mentality is that, right? Obviously, that cop doesn't represent the entire police force, hopefully, but again, what kind of mental illness has gone into even the police officer to make that kind of comment for everybody to hear, sort of thing, right? So if I'm a criminal and I'm hearing this, it's like, well, yeah, okay, they're afraid of us, sort of thing, right? Let's go jack some more houses and cars, just get that payday, get their bag, and the consequences are very little, because again, all it takes is in the U.S. All it takes is one criminal getting shot trying to steal something. Then it would send a message to other criminals. Hey, you know what? The risk of trying to jack somebody's car or property, it has consequences, like my own death. If I'm a criminal, they'll think twice about doing it. But here, there is no consequences. And the one instance where a person got their house broken into, actually shot the intruder that were using guns to come in. They got arrested, right? Yes, obviously after a year it worked out for them, where the court, the judge dropped the charges and stuff like that, right? But imagine defending your life, killing the criminal that busted in your door, guns ablazing sort of thing, getting arrested afterwards, and then going through the motions of trial and possibly facing life imprisonment for killing somebody who was trying to kill you, using a gun that you legally owned, sort of thing, right? It's madness here. So yeah, the crime here, it's nuts. Not sustainable, especially if you live in the more crime-ridden areas. But maybe it's livable for folks that are far removed from it. But again, it's increasing, and people are starting to notice, which is not so good. So this reason that I have here when it comes to culture is as one of the reasons why I'm leaving the country. It might come off as a little weird, but I guess you have to be here to understand. So one of the things I want to say up front is that I thank Canada and the people of Canada back in the day who sponsored my family over being refugees from the Vietnam War, for everything that we have and I have right now in my life up to this point, right? It wasn't for the good-hearted nature of Canadians. This first generation immigrant would not have made a better life for themselves, right? So that's the first and foremost, right? So when I talk about culture, Canadian culture now, and as the reason why I'm leaving, it's not referring to the Canadian culture that was, how I experienced it when I was got over here and grew up, 30, 40 years after the fact, right? It's the current culture right now that's making me leave. And I think the source of the problem is that in recent years, we, as a society, and I blame it on the government because they have their policies, we let in way too many immigrants that isn't sustainable. Like diversity, you can argue is our strength, right? But if you let it, unfettered people come in, it doesn't give time for the country and the society to and the new immigrants to actually integrate to the society, right? Because that's the whole point, right? Because you're not living in your own old place wherever you came from. So if you move to a different place, you should be able to, you have to actually integrate to that society, because you can't be I guess delusional enough to think that the new society that you're going to move into will just cater to everything, all your weird and quirky social norms of your homeland over there. Because again, that's not how it works, sort of thing, right? Just the example, which is kind of extreme, is that if you go to a more conservative country where bare skin for the ladies is not allowed, you obviously, you wouldn't, from a Western society, you wouldn't go there and then just go in your two-piece bikini onto the beach, sort of thing, and expect no consequences, right? Obviously there's legal consequences, but as a society, it's super frowned upon, right? You just wouldn't do that. So I guess it's the same here for Canada. So with the huge influx of immigrants that have come into Canada recently, I think what happens is it causes a lot of tribalism, where I'm from this region or I'm from this culture. They all group together and live together, right? Fortunately, when my parents came over, we didn't go to our tribe and try to be close to them. It's one of those things. Hey, we just got to find a place to live, raise our children, and keep a low profile sort of thing, and just integrate, right? But here, I think a lot of people are being more tribal, where they'll stick to their own culture. They may or may not bother to try to learn the language or the culture to basically fit in with the rest, because I have a big enough tribe of my own background sort of thing to just converse with, so I don't need to talk to the other Canadians, stuff like that, right? Which I guess is good or bad. But one of the things that is popping up recently is just basically there's no checks and balances anymore when it comes to doing your own thing that you used to do back in the homeland, and doing it here in Canada. Because one of the endearing qualities of Canadians is our acceptance and our high tolerance of other cultures and stuff like that, right? So we're not going to be like finger pointing and just ridiculing and shaming folks, because again, you're new, you probably don't know that's the social norm to not do that stuff here. So hopefully most of us will just gently remind you, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that stuff, right? Like pooping on the beach and burying your poop in the sand, or picking salmon straight out of the river where it's actually protected and you're not supposed to be, whatever, right? And then for other reasons, the people are doing stuff like that. I can only imagine, maybe say, hey, look, free food, I don't have to pay, whatever, right? But it gets bad when some of the mentality, like, again, I get it. When you're in a third world country where tomorrow's not guaranteed, sort of thing. You do what you need to do to survive. You can't fully go to Canada and bring that mentality over here, because it just won't work. Like the whole, how do I put it? I think the best example, I would say, when I talk about culture, is that Canada is, and a lot of Western countries, is a high trust society, where we have a lot of social welfare networks to support Canadians, its citizens, right? So you lose your job, there's unemployment insurance, which basically gives you a livable wage for up to 45 weeks after you're unemployed, so that you can go get another job, right? If you really can't get a job, or you have some sort of disability, again, there's money for that. If you're a single mom or single family, or just for whatever reason can't work, there actually is this welfare itself that will pay you enough just to live and survive, so that hopefully things get better down the road and you can get that forever. So it's a high trust society, where it's based on the honor system, where we're assuming you're not lying about your situation and it's not milking the system for all it's worth. But recently, when you bring in a ton of new people who don't understand that's the cultural norm here, and we're all in it together, sort of thing, and will help the least fortunate out. You get people that just basically are here just to milk the system dry. There were one example of the data scientists that was working at Google or whatever, making 120 G's on his TikTok, bragging about how to go get free food at the food bank, right? Which is meant for homeless people and people living in the tents and stuff like that, because they're really hard up on themselves. But this guy was, being all proud and telling his followers how to get free food, because he did it at the food bank, for free, right? And this guy making $120,000, which is about twice as much as the average Canadian makes a year, and he was proud about this. I guess you can use the example of people just, fishing off the river with their bare hands, because, the fish, they're so used to not being predicated on, just kind of slowly swimming, and then plucking the fish right out of the water and eating it, I guess, right? It's not like you're gonna go, sashimi style and eat it right there, like, because you're homeless and stuff like that. These people will take it home, prepare the fish, cook it, eat it, and what have you. So it's not like they're down hard up on their luck and living in the forest and stuff like that, and then they're just catching fish to eat. It's like literally just families coming in and picking up fish. It's free inventory sort of thing, right? So that's the kind of culture I'm talking about, where it's changed, and I don't think it'll be a while before it will go back to the way it was. Because what happens is, when you see this kind of stuff and this change in culture, where it's a me mindset and not a take care of your neighbor and take care of yourself sort of mentality, how it used to be when I was younger, up to when I grew up. It'll be a while before that it will turn back, because when people see it like this, other Canadians, they'll start to resent the particular group or the particular type of people that are doing this stuff, and it reflects badly on everybody who's technically not a native Canadian sort of thing. So yeah, it's just I don't know. It's weird, right? We were, I guess the government was letting all these folks in just to goose up the GDP, and make the numbers look good, but they're forgetting that people need time to integrate into this society that they're coming into. If you don't give that enough time, it basically screws up with the general culture in society, right? But again, I owe everything I have, and the opportunities I was afforded because of the Canadian culture and the people back in the day that sponsored my parents over after the Vietnam War. It's just now I just can't see that happening again right now, because again there's already an anti-immigration movement and real nationalistic rhetoric that's coming on, which is fine, guys. You should always be proud of the country you're in, but I just worry that it's a general blanket, not hatred, but annoyance of newcomers coming in. And again, nobody knows that, other than hearing me not speak broken English, I guess, that I've been here the majority of my life. I consider myself as a proud Canadian and stuff like that. But I'm sure it will have a negative consequence for myself, my son going through the schooling system, so that initially people think, well, you're one of those that are not integrating and stuff like that, possibly, right? But I just don't want to be in that type of environment where it's a me mentality sort of thing, and screw the next person over, right? Because again, some of that kind of mentality could maybe be related to all the crime that's happening, where it's like, I'm gonna get mine. He doesn't have to be a physical violent that type of thing, but it's what about the financial, the lesser crimes, where you're stealing from the food bank, and possibly causing somebody else's death because they're hard up, and you took all the food when you really didn't need it or could afford it for yourself. But that's because your mentality is like, what, if I'm not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it. No, that's not how Canada works, sort of thing, right? And if that's the society that we're going to have going forward, that's not a place I want to raise my son in terms of having those kind of core values. But the thing is, with Canadian culture, I think that's one of the I'm most optimistic about it, because I think just given this weirdness that's gone on recently, I think the society will turn back to the way it was when I first came over with my family. That again, the Canadian people are very, just to generalize, very friendly and very open to helping others and stuff like that, right? We just need to give the time for the new immigrants that are here to integrate, and then things can go back to the way it was. Love it or hate it, I think crypto is here to stay for the long term. I've been in crypto for quite some time now, since 2012, when I was mining some Bitcoin using ASIC machines in my parents' basement. I think crypto, especially in particular Bitcoin, is one avenues that a person can make and outpace the devaluation of our currency and inflation, right? I know some people think of crypto in general as a scam, which is fine, right? But here's the thing: I think we can all agree that even if crypto is a scam, a Ponzi, or whatever you want to call it, it should be my right to dump my own money and lose my own money in this Ponzi as I choose fit. Don't you agree? I think so. But the thing is, here in Ontario, specifically in the area I'm living, the government thinks they know better and is out to protect us by limiting our crypto interactions that we can have, right? So here in Ontario, there's some obscure rule from some government organizations that says that we can't interact with crypto for more than $30,000 per year, sort of thing, right? So this is in an environment where you can go and, as of age 19, you can go and drink yourself to death if you want to, or go to the casino and take all your money, which could be more than $30,000, and bet it on black and lose everything and ruin your life. But for whatever reason, they want to prevent me, or in general, crypto investors in general, with that $30,000 cap limit, right? So I'm sure it's in the guise of for consumer protection and all that nonsense. But here's the thing: I've worked for my money. I've paid taxes on my money, and the little money I get back after paying all the taxes every year, I think I can do what I want with it, right? If I want to throw it down the garbage, I can throw it down the garbage. And if I want to invest it in this Ponzi called crypto, let me do that sort of thing, right? Because here's the thing: with that kind of mentality where they're going to use the guise of consumer protection, it's not a far stretch for the government to force, like, say, I don't know, jab mandates on folks for their protection and other people's protections, basically stripping you of your of your own property rights, right? And in this case, it's my money. I can do whatever I want with it, sort of thing, other than doing illegal things, right? So how does a government or third party come in and say, hey, you can only spend X amount of money per year for your protection, right? So just with that in of itself, if I was a single guy and didn't have anybody to take care of, that'd be probably the main reason I'd leave the country, just so I can have the financial freedom that I want to be, right? Again, if I wreck myself and go lose everything, that's on me. I'm not going to be blaming anybody. So please, stop this fake consumer protection nonsense, right? Because here, like it or not, like I said, crypto is here to stay. Everybody thinks that Canada is so great because we have universal healthcare. So it's a mixed bag when it comes to universal healthcare. So I just want to make sure everybody knows what that's all about before thinking universal healthcare should be implemented everywhere. So here's the thing: universal healthcare, that means everybody, regardless, has access to healthcare if they need it, right? This includes people that actually aren't even citizens in the country. If they happen to be here and something happens, you can go to the hospital without without fear of not being treated and stuff like that, right? But it comes at a cost where the universal healthcare, it's heavily subsidized and paid for by our taxes, the folks who actually work and pay taxes to contribute to that, so that everybody else can benefit, which is fine. That's usually how it works anyways, right? But with the universal healthcare here, there's so many people that use it for the littlest things, like I got a running nose, and they come in the emergency room thinking they're dying of COVID or something like that. That actually costs a lot of money, wastes a lot of time also. But it happens, right? So that's fine. But the thing is, with the universal healthcare, the more costly treatments, especially if you have some weird cancer that you need to get treated for, the whole process of getting diagnosed and treated and recovering from that is what there isn't, I guess, enough funding or money for. Even though we have universal healthcare, you'll eventually get it, but sometimes when you read some of the stories, if they're to be believed, you more likely will die before you fully get your treatment because of the waiting periods you have to have, right? So one of the other things that's happening right now is there's a super lack of a shortage of doctors, so that folks can get family doctors just to get the regular checkup that you're supposed to get to see how you're doing. Again, we have universal healthcare, but if you don't have a doctor, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the emergency room or those walk-in clinics that drive up the cost of the healthcare just to get your prescription because you got a cold or something like that, right? So yeah, it's kind of bad. For me personally, obviously, if that's all it was, not a big deal, right? Because most of your life, from when you start working to when you retire, most people are very healthy and require very little interaction with the healthcare system in the country, something like that, right? So that should be fine for most majority of people, and it's actually fine for me because I haven't interacted with the healthcare system in that particular way all my life, pretty much. But why I list it as one of the top reasons why I'd leave Canada is because sometimes you as a person who needs healthcare or has a family member that needs healthcare, you're willing to pay for it. You can't even do that here, sort of thing. You actually literally have to go to a different country to pay for healthcare that should be provided here through your taxes because you paid for it. But it's not available, right? So in my particular case, it's my son. He's diagnosed with a condition where he actually needs a speech pathologist to help him, with his communication stuff, right? Because he didn't talk until he was around 5, right? Which is quite late for a child. But the thing is, when we realized that he had this issue, we signed up, we did all the paperwork and stuff like that, so that he can get the treatments from speech pathology and whatnot. And there's a program that helps families that are affected like this. But here's the thing: it's been over 2 years now since we submitted all the forms. They have it on record. And every time I check up on it, they tell me, yeah, we have a form, we're waiting for funding. We're waiting for funding so that, you can hire a speech pathologist, and then you get reimbursed for it and stuff like that, right? We just don't know how much it is. When you get it, we're still waiting for funding. So 2 years have gone by, right? So, in the meantime, myself, I read up on how to help develop child speech and stuff like that. I'm not a speech pathologist by default, but I do what I can, and the schooling system kind of somewhat helps do what they can to encourage and develop my son's speech or something, right? So with the school, they're limited in terms of the funding, so what they've been giving him is 6 sessions with a speech pathologist a year. But here's the thing, that those 6 sessions, they're 30 minutes each. So literally, that's nothing, right? Like literally come in, talk to the kid, help them with some pronounce some words and stuff like that, out the door. Next week, do the same thing for 6 sessions for the whole year. But okay, it's better than nothing. And then at home, me and the wife, we help them and to talk and enunciate stuff and teach them other stuff, like the math and homework and stuff like that. But I want to pay for a speech pathologist, but the thing is, again, with cost of living here, the speech pathology cost is between $100 to $500 an hour. Okay, so needless to say, I don't make $100 to $500 an hour. I guess I could go ask my employer to raise my rate up to $100 an hour, but even if they did that, it wouldn't be a solution, because here's the thing: even if I made $100 $200 an hour, which I could if I put my mind to it and just do some side hustles and stuff like that, so I can pay for the speech pathology sessions for my son. The thing is, after the government gets me on the taxes, I'd probably be left with, from $100 an hour, I'd be left with like about $50 an hour's worth of money, sort of thing, right? And then you tack on all the other stuff that we have to pay for, with the taxes and stuff like that. Let's say I'm left with $40 an hour's worth of that stuff. That would not be able to pay for the $100 or to $500 an hour speech pathology sessions that my son would need, right? So again, I'm already in a losing position, regardless of what, if I got that raise to $100 an hour, which again, that works out to be about $200,000 a year, right? Let's just say my son needs speech pathology, 5 days a week, sort of thing, for up to a year, sort of thing, so that he can get to the around the median level of where he should be for his age. I'd be in debt for, I don't know, for years upon years, just to have that, right? So again, it's universal healthcare. It's great for minor stuff here, but if you're looking for something more severe, obviously the speech pathology thing is not as severe as somebody who's dying of cancer and stuff like that. Good luck with that. So in my case, I'm going to leave and find a place where I can pay for this speech pathology sessions that my son needs, but not actually literally bury myself and my family technically in debt afterwards. Because again, after this course of treatment is done for him, you want to actually leave him with something for his future and stuff like that, right? And that's one of the things where I have to plan for not my future, but his future down the road. So blowing all my money here in Canada on a health system that's supposedly universal, which hasn't gotten back to me after 2 years of waiting. Maybe next year they'll tell me, you got here's $1,000 you can spend on sessions and stuff like that. I don't know what they're going to give me, sort of thing. But I'm not going to wait for it, sort of thing, right? So my son needs these sessions now, and up until the point where he can be kind of a median of kids at his age and stuff like that. And I'll do what it takes to get him that without basically limiting his future down the road, especially if he wants to go to university or do whatever he needs to do to live his life, right? So yeah, that's why I guess that's the main reason I would leave right now. So to the folks who know me and are wondering where I am, what I'm doing these days, there it is, right? What the future holds for me, I have no idea, but I think the decision I'm making right now for my family is the right decision. So I'll try to keep up and make videos, I guess, of updates with regards to what I'm doing, so that folks don't have to worry. But other than that, we'll see you around.